be with either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
As we've seen Meghan Markle put out more and more content connected to her children, whether that's the pregnancy video that made the entire world cringe from secondhand embarrassment.
Doctor looked up, her mouth set in a particular way. Things were getting serious. I said to Meg, my love, you need a push.
Did Meghan Markle use a surrogate? That's been something posited literally for well over 3 years when it comes to her firstborn son Archie and even her daughter Lilibet. And many people even wonder, are their children even real?
Did Buckingham Palace or Prince William set a trap for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and were they gullible enough to fall into it?
This is absolutely insane that they thought they could get away with it, especially Meghan Markle and Harry. The con of the century, 2 cons of the century in the form of 2 royal children included in the line of succession.
Whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know, the first interview was, we all know that she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home.
That Meghan put on her Instagram feed earlier this week with Archie in the garden. What did you see?
But I had to take my children to Professor Bolstrop, who was the leading expert in the field at that time, at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital it was, and he was going to be investigating. And of course, you know my boys, so you know they're very spirited. That she has that child in a vice-like grip. And it's, you know, if they were a husband and wife team, there are laws now about coercive control.
Something strange, no, something downright chilling is happening behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace. This isn't just tabloid chatter or another internet rumor gone wild. No, this is deeper, colder. A quiet storm moving through corridors where whispers echo louder than shouts. Insiders are saying senior palace advisors have quietly launched what they're calling an internal verification review, and it's about Archie and Lilibet. Now, let that sink in for a second. The Monarchy, an institution that thrives on certainty, is re-examining birth records of royal children. For the crown, this kind of move is practically sacrilegious. They fear confusion around bloodlines more than any scandal. Scandal, they can survive. Doubt? That shakes the very foundation of the throne. And if there's one rule that's guided the monarchy for centuries, it's this. The line of succession must be absolutely beyond question. So, the question is, why now? Why touch this nerve? The one subject the palace usually acts like doesn't even exist. Sources say it started with a pile of small inconsistencies, little things that didn't make sense on their own, but when placed side by side, formed a picture too unsettling to ignore. Missing details, odd paperwork, procedures that didn't line up with royal standards. Harmless at first glance, but collectively, a red flag.
Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up about how Meghan and Harry have handled all of this, as well as the rumors that perhaps they used a surrogate for one or both of the children.
Once those irregularities reached senior officials, the palace began to dig quietly, cautiously. Their first stop? The earliest official document tied to Archie, his birth certificate. For most of us, a birth certificate is just a piece of paper. For the royals, it's practically constitutional gold. It's the first legal acknowledgement of someone who could someday sit close to the throne. Every letter, every signature must be crystal clear and unchanging. But Archie's wasn't. Months after his birth, something changed. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was suddenly gone.
Where are the children? Where are Harry and Meghan's kids? And do they honestly exist? Now, I know that that's kind of like a little bit conspiratorial, but you know what? I'm down the rabbit hole now since I've accepted the moon bump story. And if the moon bump story was true and she didn't actually have these pregnancies, then is it possible that she has faked having the kids?
In its place appeared a cold, formal line. Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No first name, no surname, just the title. In royal bureaucracy, that's not just odd, it's almost unheard of. Changes like that need paperwork, justification, and a very strong reason. When investigators revisited that moment, something didn't add up. Meghan claimed the palace made the change. Palace insiders swore it was Meghan's camp that pushed for it. No one could produce a matching explanation or a solid paper trail. And for the palace, uncertainty is poison. If the record was altered once, what stopped it from being altered again? Why the edit at all? That's when the quiet digging turned into a full-blown timeline review, reconstructing everything surrounding Archie's birth.
California Birth Index, and per the website at the californiabirthindex.org, the California Birth Index, or CABI, is a database that stores records of births in California, abstracts of birth certificates. Putting her full official name of Rachel Meghan Markle, you can see that the official records show.
And that's where the second wave of irregularities surfaced. Not huge scandals, tiny, subtle things that didn't fit the royal pattern. First, there was the announcement. Every royal baby follows a sacred sequence: verified birth, official medical statement, palace bulletin, and then a controlled photo opportunity. With Archie, it was upside down. The world learned he was born before the palace confirmed anything. Hours ticked by before details trickled out, and even then, they were vague. No hospital steps, no smiling doctors, no proud signatures, just a short appearance days later that felt staged.
Though Meghan had let it be known she wanted a home birth, it was probably very realistic that her first child at 37, it was going to be born in hospital.
So at the time, Archie Mountbatten Windsor was born May 6, 2019.
Then came the location confusion. Initial reports said one hospital. Later, whispers hinted at another. Even staff couldn't seem to match the timeline with royal protocol. Normally, royal births are like military operations: witnesses, physicians, midwives, senior officials, everything logged to the minute. But when palace investigators reviewed Archie's file, they found gaps. Not proof of wrongdoing, but gaps wide enough to raise eyebrows.
What Meghan and Harry did instead was they did not announce it when Meghan went into labor, for whatever reason. They kept Archie's birth private for over 8 hours. They did not tell people that he was actually born and arrived until 8 hours later. They also issued a confusing press release suggesting Meghan had just gone into labor after Archie had already been born. So they were playing games here with this. And the result was that the media and the public felt misled because they were misled.
If Archie's birth seemed foggy, Lilibet's was a mystery wrapped in silence. Archie's record raised eyebrows. Lilibet's raised alarms. Her birth wasn't announced by the palace. It came from Meghan and Harry's California PR team. No British doctors. No royal midwives. No easel outside Buckingham Palace. Just a sleek press release and a handful of filtered photos. For any Hollywood celebrity, that's standard. But for a child tied to the royal bloodline, it's a breach of centuries of protocol. Even Meghan's pregnancy timeline didn't match. Some photos made her look further along, others barely pregnant at all. And while the world speculated, Buckingham Palace did what it does best: stayed silent. They didn't confirm. They didn't deny. They just watched. But the real bombshell wasn't the birth itself, it was what came after: the christening. The ceremony that should have cemented Lilibet's royal place, but instead opened the biggest can of worms yet. Before the palace even got to the christening, advisors had to revisit one of the monarchy's most important legal backbones, the 1,917 letters patent signed by King George V. It clearly defines who qualifies for royal titles and what conditions must be met for recognition. And at its heart lies one iron rule: royal status isn't symbolic, it must be verifiable. A royal child must meet 3 conditions: traceable lineage, a birth that follows royal protocol, and a Church of England christening. All 3 are non-negotiable. For generations, these steps were smooth and consistent. Births verified, records filed, signatures collected, and ceremonies witnessed. But with Archie and Lilibet, things fell apart. Archie's official announcement oddly omitted doctors' signatures. The easel didn't include the verifying witnesses. Everything about it looked diluted. Then came Lilibet's christening in California. Meghan proudly announced it, but when palace staff quietly checked Church of England records, nothing matched. No entry, no bishop's confirmation. No trace of a legitimate record. Even private ceremonies leave documentation, but there was nothing. Inside the palace, that's not just odd, it's a constitutional crisis. Without a record of a Church of England christening, a child isn't officially tied to the faith that underpins the monarchy. Without that, royal status remains incomplete. And so, a quiet but intense internal case file began to grow at Buckingham Palace. Meghan's defenders claim the palace has always moved the goalposts, that this is revenge. But others whisper that Meghan herself set this in motion with her inconsistencies. Meghan Markle gave birth to Lily, because this is what's called plausible deniability. Is less than, is less than. Legal sources say the Sussex team crafted their announcements so they could claim, "We never said she was born under royal supervision." That's what lawyers call plausible deniability. And to make matters even murkier, the doctor allegedly tied to the birth reportedly shut down her practice just 2 weeks later. Coincidence or something darker? Once the christening question hit the table, Buckingham Palace shifted from passive observation to an organized, methodical review. Is less than, is less than. At that moment, the palace went from quietly observing to meticulously documenting. Senior advisors, archivists, constitutional lawyers all pulled in. Their mission wasn't emotional, it was structural. Rebuild the Sussex timeline and compare it line by line with royal standards. They pieced together every detail: births, announcements, photos, statements, and ceremonies. What they found was unsettling. Missing witnesses, conflicting stories, unverified hospitals, delayed paperwork, no medical confirmations, events that didn't line up with royal tradition, even signatures that didn't match standard royal formatting. Individually, each issue might seem small. Together, they painted a portrait of confusion the crown couldn't ignore. And for the monarchy, confusion is lethal. It breeds doubt. Doubt breeds instability. And instability threatens the crown's legitimacy itself. As that confidential file thickened, one question loomed larger than the rest. What happens now to Meghan and Harry? Inside Montecito, things reportedly feel tense, nothing like the polished Instagram posts. Both Meghan and Harry know exactly what a royal internal review means. It's not a PR headache, it's an existential threat. For Meghan, it's catastrophic. Her entire post-royal brand, the Netflix shows, the book deals, the podcast dreams, the modern Duchess image, rests on her being the mother of royal children. That mystique sells. It's the foundation of her American Riviera Orchard brand, her interviews, her image. Without the royal connection, she's just another celebrity, and the allure collapses. For Harry, it's personal. This isn't about image, it's about identity. All his life, he believed his children would automatically be part of the monarchy's future. Even if he stepped away, they'd always belong. But now, he's reportedly realizing that link could vanish. Sources close to him claim he's been calling senior royals angry, emotional, desperate to understand what's happening, but the palace has gone cold. Once something enters legal review territory, emotions don't matter. The machine takes over. And that's exactly what's happening. The review is proceeding quietly, firmly, and nothing the Sussexes say can stop it. Behind closed doors, the palace has mapped out 3 possible outcomes, and all 3 are bad news for Meghan and Harry. Option 1, titles frozen. No removals, no headlines, just quiet exclusion. The children remain listed but fade from royal updates, never appearing again in official ceremonies. Option 2, quiet reclassification. The palace could simply start treating Archie and Lilibet as private citizens. No royal roles, no titles in practice, no inclusion in royal lineage publications. Option 3, formal removal, the harshest and rarest move of all. If the internal file concludes that royal birth standards weren't followed or properly verified, the crown has legal authority to strip recognition completely. No anger, no revenge, just the monarchy protecting its own survival. And that's the cruel irony. Meghan and Harry built an empire on royal mystique, but the palace owns the ink. And one royal signature could erase everything. Before this story takes its next turn, hit like so more people see the truth. Is less than, is less than. Because as insiders whisper, this story is far from over. The palace may still be silent, but behind that silence, something monumental is brewing. The kind of decision that could redefine not just Meghan and Harry's future, but the very definition of who is and who isn't royal blood. And one thing's certain, the crown always protects itself. People come and go, scandals rise and fade, but the monarchy, it endures. Always. Behind those ancient walls, the silence is deafening. Every window of Buckingham Palace might as well be an eye watching, noting, remembering. Insiders say staff are walking on eggshells, terrified of speaking Meghan's name too loudly. Because now, this isn't just rumor territory, this is a constitutional minefield. The Verification Review, as it's being called, has become the most secretive project inside the palace since the Diana years. Files locked in temperature-controlled vaults, meetings booked under fake agenda titles, and late-night phone calls between royal lawyers and church officials. One insider whispered, "When the crown starts calling the clergy, you know something big is about to happen." And here's the thing, Meghan knows it. Her team in Montecito has reportedly been scrambling, calling PR strategists, legal advisors, even former palace aides. They know once that internal file is finalized, there's no controlling the narrative. The palace won't leak, it will act, coldly, surgically, and without a single word of public justification. Harry, on the other hand, is said to be spiraling. Those close to him say he's torn between defending his wife and realizing that the monarchy he turned his back on still controls his children's future. He's been spotted pacing around Montecito, making restless phone calls at odd hours, while Meghan projects calmness online with polished, filtered smiles. But behind those smiles, panic. Because the crown's silence has always meant one thing: judgment is near. Courtiers say even King Charles is uneasy, not out of emotion, but out of duty. The crown must protect itself, even if that means cutting off its own blood. He's torn between the role of father and the responsibility of sovereign. It's Shakespearean love versus legacy. And if it comes down to choosing one, history tells us exactly where a monarch's loyalty lies. Across social media, speculation is exploding again. Every photo of Archie or Lilibet is being dissected, compared, analyzed frame by frame. Are those even the same children? Why so few verified images? The gossip is merciless, and Meghan's once unshakable control over her narrative is slipping. And while fans argue online, the real decisions are happening in silence, ink drying on confidential documents, lawyers reviewing precedents, and courtiers preparing statements that may never need to be spoken. Because when the crown moves, it doesn't shout. It signs. And once that signature falls, Meghan and Harry's fairy tale may end not with scandal, but with quiet erasure. A slow, elegant deletion from history.